What's going on, fight fans? This is your man Keith Fitzgerald. Like and subscribe to my page. Leave any comments. You can hit me up at apkfits@gmail.com. This particular video is going to be all about the upcoming Floyd Mayweather fight against Marcus Maidana. And then I'm going to give a little perspective about the Keith Thurman situation, or lack thereof. So again, this is my first video. I'm a huge boxing fan, and my perspective is just to give you what I see, what I've read, and any interesting facts, and chime in as need be as to information that you guys have out there as well. The fight between Floyd Mayweather and Marcus Maidana is scheduled for September 13, 2014 of this year. Again, Floyd Mayweather is somewhere between a 6 to 8 to 1 favorite. He's fighting at the MGM Grand, where he's fought the last 8 to 12 to 15 times. He rarely comes out of Nevada. He always talks about, hey, he wants to cross his fingers and see what the future holds. And he gave a little stint about possibly after the Ricky Hatton fight, he'd like to fight in England. But this guy really doesn't want to go anywhere. Due to maybe tax situations or training camps or whatever the case may be. If he's a cash cow, if he's the A side, he's most likely going to be fighting at the MGM Grand until he retires. So he's 46-0, undefeated, with 26 knockouts. He beat his opponent, which is Marcus Maidana, 35 wins, 4 losses with 31 knockouts, to a unanimous decision in May of this year. It was close, it was a rugged fight. Most fights with Mayweather are clean cut. He outboxes you. He's in the hit and not get hit business, and basically usually beats you, somewhere between 9 rounds to 3, or somewhere between 10 and 2. In certain cases, you don't even win a round. So, is he a knockout puncher? Obviously, for those who know who Floyd Mayweather is. He hasn't had a legitimate knockout since Ricky Hatton, if you want to count the Ortiz fight, when Victor Ortiz was looking at Joe Cortez after they, were hugging and kissing and all that kind of stuff. So be it. But in terms of the heat of the battle, he hasn't had a legitimate technical knockout since Ricky Hatton. In terms of the promotion, they're in the mix, the ending of a 5-city tour that's ending today in Los Angeles, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you're on YouTube, look at that. The interviews are pretty much how they always been. Floyd Mayweather talking about how he takes one fight at a time. He doesn't overlook his opponents. You never know what the future holds. Strong team, hard work and dedication. Pretty much what he says on every promotional tour. Marcus Maidana seems really comfortable, seems pretty laid back. He beat Mayweather in the fact of being rugged. He was a rugged fighter. The first time that they fought, he cut him, I believe, with a headbutt, hit him with a couple low blows, wrestled him down a couple times. Mayweather, for whatever reason, normally isn't against the ropes for large periods of time. For this fight, he was up against the ropes. He got caught a couple times in various rounds, and it was a battle. It was not what most people would normally be seeing in a Floyd Mayweather fight, especially against Marcus Maidana, who's a really good puncher, but he's not a technical fighter. So to be able to, give Floyd that much trouble for a 12-round period was a little alarming to those who have been watching Floyd Mayweather for the height of his career. But there was an issue with the gloves. I believe Maidana wanted to wear his Everlast gloves, and for whatever reason, due to lack of padding, negotiations, or whatever the case is, he wasn't able to. In this fight, we're not quite sure. I've heard various communications. He may wear his Everlast gloves. He may have to wear the Grant gloves that I believe Floyd Mayweather uses. Who's to say? I don't know that's going to be a major factor, but that's something to kind of look towards, and let me know what your opinion on that is. Floyd also announced the fact that there's a big surprise that he's going to unveil for next May's fight. Who knows what that is? If it's not the Manny Pacquiao fight, nobody really cares. Casual fans are not going to want to hear about him, getting his own promotional license and being able to license fights or promote fights in New York, and I heard Chicago and Nevada. That's really not the type of announcement the casual fan is looking for in reference to a big surprise. The only surprise that anybody really wants to hear is him taking on Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao for a fight that's been building up for, who knows, 8 to 10 years or whatnot. The fans are so fed up of hearing, the reasons behind why it's not happening. Is it a promotional issue? Is it the networking? Is it because somebody doesn't want to take drug testing? It's been going on and on and on. But, if it isn't something to that capacity, nobody really cares, I believe Saul Canelo Alvarez, who he fought last year in September, is actually trying to take his date in May of 2015 in a fight that I believe he'll be matched up with Miguel Cotto if he can get through. I believe he's scheduled to get into the ring sometime in November, and the to be announced opponent is looking to be James Kirkland, who I believe they're going to be fighting in somewhere in Texas. So that's actually a pretty good fight, but we'll get into that in a different video. But Canelo is really on a nice little streak right now. He beat Angulo in a fan-friendly fight. He just beat Laura in I believe it was a split decision win. Yes, it was. Some people say Laura won, but you can't really be circling around the ring and pot-shotting and be the B-side of a pay-per-view event against, a Mexican icon and think you're going to get the judge's decision. You're going to have to go in there and put in work. You're going to have to go in there and, basically dominate the fight, which he did not do. He made it too close for the judges. He circled, the ring, and he made it a really boring fight. Canelo was the one that was pretty much pressing the action. But, for whatever reason, Mayweather pay-per-view buys have dipped from 2.3 million buys when he fought Canelo to a little over 800,000 when he fought Maidana earlier this year. So he's definitely taking a look as to what he can do to get, his pay-per-view buys back up. Because there's some guys gunning for him. We all know Cotto just had a sensational win against Sergio Martinez. Canelo's doing a lot of good things. Pacquiao, we'll see what happens with that. For right now, I think he's fighting Chris Algieri. And to me, a mismatch against somebody who squeaked out, a win against Ruslan Provodnikov, but is now going to fight, pretty much a number 2 pound-for-pound fighter. And I think, Pacquiao is just going to cut the ring off and pretty much dominate this guy. But that's, it's just a one man's opinion. So, at the end of the day, we'll see what happens with that. My prediction is that Mayweather in the rematch will be more technical, use his ring generalship a little bit more, but it's still going to be a rugged, dirty, hard, grinding, to the grindstone type fight. At the end of the day, the fans are actually going to be behind Maidana, even though it's in the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. They're going to be pulling for him. He's got all the Mexican fans. He's got pretty much all the Latino fans behind him. Mayweather, who drives his pay-per-view count by, being brash and flashy and, arrogant. He calls himself TBE, the best ever. And, some people are with that. I think he's a great fighter. Do I think he's the best to ever put on the gloves? No. If you look at his credentials, if you look at his resume matched up against Manny Pacquiao and to me, even Bernard Hopkins, in my opinion, I don't have him above those guys. But has he done a lot for boxing in terms of the business end and getting the most out of, the pay-per-views and basically, selling fights? He's done an exceptional job. He has an exceptional team. And only bigger things are to come with his Mayweather promotional brand. So that's how that goes with the Mayweather Maidana rematch. I want to touch a little bit about Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman is a welterweight. I wouldn't even call him a prospect. He's past that stage, if you ask me. He's a contender out of St. Petersburg, Florida. 23 wins, 0 losses with 21 knockouts. This guy has rolled through whoever Golden Boy has put in front of him. He's had wins over Carlos Quintana. Back in the day, Carlos Quintana beat Paul Williams, who was a great welterweight before he got paralyzed. He's beaten Jesus Soto Carras, a guy who's knocked out Andre Berto, who's scheduled to make his comeback in September of this year. Diego Chavez, who's scheduled to fight Brandon Rios, which is a top-ranked fighter. But Keith Thurman, I mean, he's just the man right now. He's not getting, to me, the fights, the respect, the accolades. He's been calling out everybody. In 147, Robert Guerrero has turned down to fight with him. Floyd Mayweather's is mandatory. Didn't, pass that up. He's called out pretty much everybody in the top 10. Adrian Broner, whoever, Manny Pacquiao, whoever there is, and they all kind of, turn a loose eye to him. So, I think he's a great fighter. I think he's going to get his shot soon, whether it be the winner of the Kell Brook, Sean Porter fight, or any top 10 guy. He's really somebody who's not getting the respect, not getting the fights. And what do you guys think? I mean, am I, being a little bit too hard on Golden Boy or Al Heyman or whoever's in charge in his career? But I do see a lot of other guys being pushed a little harder, where Keith Thurman, is just getting knockouts. His motto is KO for life, and he's backing up what he's saying. But he needs to get in there with a legitimate guy to be the man. A lot of talk about him possibly fighting Mayweather September next year, or one of these top guys, but. He's going to keep getting ducked and overlooked if he's not getting these fights. So we'll see what happens with that. But like I said, like or subscribe to my page. Again, Keith Fitzgerald, or hit me up on apkfits@gmail.com, and look forward to talking to you guys again.